Oh, yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and start after a minor glitch with the owl. First thing is pledge of allegiance, please. You pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next thing on the agenda is a roll call. All five council members are present. First thing to do is consider approving the minutes held from April 10th.
I make a motion, we approve those minutes.
Motion's been made, second by Dave. All in favor? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is signing the sewer commitment. You have that, Kelly, or? Okay.
That's for the January, February, and March billing period.
At 800.
Except that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. On the silver, get the money. No, there's something there. Cash, no, we're safe.
So I steal money. Next item up is to confirm the ballot clerks for upcoming election. Heads over to Ms. Jan Porter.
So we're supposed to be doing this, the deadline is May 1st to make some appointments. And as you know, that the Republican and the Democrat parties are not that active, so that if they do have a caucus, they normally don't give me any people that would really like to serve as a ballot clerk. So we have a collection of people here, and some of these people have just come on and said, hey, if you need any help, extra help, in June, let me know. And even for November, so these clerks, this list could change. We could get added, and maybe some of these won't want to serve. But this is my list that I have to present.
I make a motion, we accept this preliminary list of ballot clerks.
Motion been made, seconded by Mr. Nutting. All in favor?
Thank you.
Third item tonight on this is discussed, discussion for the charter.
Yes,
Kelly?
so our charter is 20 years old. Some of the things do need updating. I had put together what I would recommend. And I broke up the sections. Section 102, town may acquire property, but with that in foreclosure law, I don't know if we want to add that in. Hopefully the foreclosure law doesn't stick. It's where we can reap what we've lost and then return the money
We
back.
have an ordinance, right, that's an ordinance, isn't it, how to do that?
But the state law,
Has changed.
Yeah, I know, but don't we have an ordinance that says how we do it?
Yes, we have a
Yes.
current, yes, we do have a policy.
I mean, we don't
Tax
put the
acquired
whole
property.
thing in here, we could say refer to the ordinance number if we wanted to, but
yeah.
I don't know, is there any reason to put that all in there?
And it may change
Yeah, it may change.
easier to change the policy than it would be.
the charter.
Mr. Nutting, you had something to say?
Yeah, there's nothing in the charter currently that requires us to do what we used to do. And state law has now been changed. There used to be a state law that applied to people who were 60 years old living in their homestead, where the foreclosure rules were different. Now, the state has passed a new law this year or last year, so that everybody is now treated the way 65-year-olds now homestead used to be treated. So there's no point in putting it in the charter, because the state may change the rule at some point, and then we'd have to do the charter.
Okay.
So, but it would be nice to see what that
Ordinance.
ordinance is.
Yes.
And then the second one, I can let Jan explain that, because that affects her and her filing times.
It's just been a little hard to actually, get after nomination papers come back in, there hasn't been enough of a window so that we have some time to get it off to the printer and so on. So I would like to see that period of time would be shortened up, as far as allowing me, Kathy, to get those papers to the printers, so.
And that would be probably considered a revision. It's
Yeah.
not changing the process, it's just the date.
I
adding
would
dates.
agree with that.
Just tonight.
You mean it's an amendment to the charter,
Not a revision.
Not a,
not
my bad, yes,
Yeah.
had that backwards.
So what we're sort of looking at is going with the 50 days instead of the 60 days, which is current.
Nope, 50
No.
days is current, we'd go to 60.
Okay.
And 90 days to go to 100.
Yeah.
the one thing we need to remember as we do these, that the only things that we can have one amendment if we choose to have an amendment, or we can have 2 or 3 or 4 amendments.
Right.
But what we can't do is put different types of things together in one amendment. If there are 4 things here, they're not all the same. One is about town meeting, one is about filing papers, and each one of those would have to be a separate amendment. And that's a state law. That you can't put them together.
Well, we're not doing anything tonight, we're just talking about it. We're just talking about it tonight.
Yes, I'm just saying though, that
Yeah.
when we get to wherever we're gonna get.
Yeah.
It will be, there may or may not be more than one.
The next one, section 303, when action of the town meeting is required, annual budget, any appropriation of $10,001 or more in addition to the supplemental to the annual budget appropriation shall become effective. And I'll let you read. I would like to see that increased to $24,999. It's a good capital number. If something were to blow up or explode or break, if we needed it immediately, we wouldn't be able to go to a town meeting, and that takes time. We haven't had to use, no, I'm good, the 10,000 in the 5 years I've been here. But I don't know, it's pretty low.
I think a few years ago, I think it was the loader off the transfer station that had engine problems, and they were looking at over $9,000 then just to repair that engine. So I mean, $10,000 wouldn't replace that engine. So we could lose an engine in one of the big trucks, a loader or something, and we'd have to have a town meeting to replace the engine. So that, and there's been some talk back along about this being lower than most towns.
It is. Yes,
Mr. Knight?
I don't have an opinion about that. I'm willing to defer, but if we were to change section 303, there is another section 404.8. Which says the same thing. And if you're gonna change 303, then my suggestion is that you make 404.8 refer back to that section. So that next time, 10 years from now, when we change it to $50,000, we won't have to make that change in 2 places.
makes so much sense. And the last one I'd like to see, which is in section 603, is just changing dates. Currently, we're not following the dates for the budget process that's in the charter right now. They're all happening earlier. I don't know. We leave them the same, if it's okay if we're doing it earlier, or if we wanna but the actual dates that we follow in the charter.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll take my turn now. So what you're saying is that we do it before the charter says we need to do it?
Right,
And I don't see that as a problem.
okay,
There may come a day when we don't. When for some reason we can't do it earlier. But what happened to section 602 on my paper?
we skipped one.
You skipped that. So anyway, 603,
That's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
I don't see why we would do that,
Okay.
and 603 now doesn't mention anything about a warrant. And that would be a new place to put in warrant, one more place where. I don't see the purpose, but
As I see it, they are referred to no later than, so
Right,
we have to get it done before that, not
That.
after.
okay.
Okay.
Right, so that's- For section 303, budget review. It's just adding 5 days to make recommendations, the council, the budget advisory committee to make recommendations no later than March 20th. Currently, it's March 15th. Voting on warrant articles shall be at the last council meeting in March. I thought we were very rushed this year, had to call an extra meeting. Might be time for the counting number to come in, school might have a better, like, it just seemed very rushed in those 2 weeks. From the end of our last budget meeting to the time we were voting on warrant articles. And I think having it be a little later is a good thing. And then I know Kelly and Angela would both like to see the budget advisory committee be able to vote first on the warrant articles. And the council votes second on the article.
Is that in here, that voting sequence?
I didn't,
The last line on the front page.
About who votes
my
first?
change is in there. But, yeah,
But we don't have a necessity now.
No.
And just looking back at the history a little bit, we didn't always meet together, did we?
No.
They met, we met separately, and they voted without us. So we've sort of swapped that around, so I don't
know when that transpired, where.
I don't
you guys
remember
came
it either,
together.
but I know it's been within the last
Do you
5 or 6
remember?
years. But practically speaking, it makes sense, but we can decide that through the budget advisory committee and the council who votes first. We don't need to have that unless we want to have it listed.
We were told that it was in the charter saying that the town council had to vote first, and then the, budget advisory committee would vote secondary. I just think it would be common courtesy where people volunteer their time for the budget committee, that they would do us the courtesy of letting us, to express our vote and then vote afterwards. It's just a formality, but where everybody volunteers their time, I think it would be a good idea to do that.
Well,
so if we look at section 603, which is kind of what we're talking about, and it says that let's see. Voting on the warrant articles shall be at the last council meeting in March, and the budget and advisory committee will vote first, and the council will vote second. Okay, so then what happens if the council sometime, and then it goes on to say, signing of the warrant at the first council meeting in April. What happens between the last meeting, the last meeting in March, when the council and the budget and advisory committee decide on the warrant? Then they wait 2 weeks-ish So during that period of time, the council can't change anything. Because they've already voted on it. They're just waiting to physically sign the warrant. And that makes no sense to me. It seems to me that until the council signs the warrant, it should be able to make whatever changes it wants, increasing, decreasing, something new for the police department, taking something away from the fire department. I don't see why we would have a period of time when nothing could happen except the signing of the warrant. And to Angela's point, I understand what you're saying. But I think when the council and the budget advisory committee meet together and hash it over, if the budget advisory committee had serious concerns as a group about something, the council would take that into account when they voted on what the warrant was gonna be. To let the budget advisory committee vote first would mean that when the council votes, what could it then do? Does it have to vote like the budget advisory committee? And
No, it doesn't. But
the answer is no. So if the council changes their mind, does the budget advisory committee, then what do they do?
I just thought we recommend things. You guys have the final say, but how can we recommend it if you've already voted on it?
Well, I'm sorry, I think you recommended during those meetings when we're all in the same room talking about it. And we hear you when you recommend something, and I can't think of an example the last go around, but I'm sure we did. And then the council votes, and then you get to explain to the townspeople at town meeting by virtue of your vote, whether or not you think the council did the right thing. I think that's the way it works. And as I see it, but that's just me.
I guess we decided to do that at probably the first time we had a joint meeting. We didn't have joint meetings before, did we?
Didn't used to.
Yeah, well, they met separately, we met separately. And the decision was made, everybody be together so the department heads could share information with both groups. And it wouldn't be, oh, they gotta come back twice, do it for each group. And I think at that time, we decided to do it the way we're doing it. That doesn't mean we couldn't change it. Because I think it was pretty much the budget advisory committee chair and the town basically said, well, how do we want to, who wants to vote first? Who should vote first? So I don't think it's written in stone. I think that's just the way it happened then. So I would assume that if there was a rational reason to do it differently, two groups could still do it differently.
As far back, Don, as I remember, and it's only 17 years, we always met with the budget advisory. Back when Dana was the chairman for the budget advisory, that's when they used to meet up by themselves. The only time we met by ourselves recently, and was when we had the COVID, we did it online. And we did our section of it. Remember, we went right down through and did all the articles. And then we turned the meeting over to the budget advisory committee, and Mike went down through all the articles. So, I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, if they want to meet and discuss it, or meet together and discuss it. I think we have some great conversations when we're all meeting together, and we have some very good discussions of different opinions and different views and visions, and I think that's a great working of pea soup,
Well, it's worked well, but we've never really had anything written that says this is the way you do it.
Right.
We just decided that was the way we felt was best to do it, and to change.
17 years ago.
Yeah, I think we do it the way that worked.
Yeah.
But I remember back then that there was a separate meeting for the budget and advisory, and we could call in third-party people if we wanted to listen to them. Or if we didn't bother. And we had the department heads would come to the meeting so that we could question them. Because we didn't set in on the council meetings where they questioned them. And it made a lot more sense to do it all together and get the same information for everybody. So I think just doing it the way we do it works
Yeah, I'm
fine.
not referring to when we meet together, that's perfect. It's just that the final vote when the recommendation comes from the budget committee, it seems like it should come first before you guys vote your final. I'm not saying that we couldn't keep together and still do what we do. It's just, I think it's common courtesy that you read the recommendation from the budget committee, then you vote, you know, even though we've already hashed it out, it seems right to me. How can you recommend anything after the fact? Because once you vote, it's already voted anyway. It can't get changed.
Are you talking in the same room, the same night, or two
No,
separate meetings?
the same night when we do the final vote,
You just
guys
vote
are-
first, we vote second.
yeah, that, because we're recommending, and we can't recommend if you've already voted. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, because you're recommending to the public, not necessarily us. We're listening to your views for all the meetings, and then you recommend to the public that the budget advisory says, yes, we recommend this, or no, we don't.
Right. But I just thought it would be, you know, that's we're making the recommendation, because we're the budget advisory committee, that, you know, each you can say, okay, this is how we voted, but you still chose to vote however, for or against. I wasn't getting all technical about we had to meet differently.
No, I just was clarifying. Thank you.
I don't disagree, there's no reason why the budget advisory committee can't sit in that same room when we're all in the room. And have a straw vote, if you will, and say, we don't like article number 2. And then the council votes,
Exactly,
listens to you or doesn't listen to you,
exactly.
and then votes, but still, you need to, based on the charter and what we said about the budget advisory committee's job, as I understand it, was to be an extra voice at town meeting, to explain to the public that goes to vote at town meeting, whether or not they thought the council did the right thing. And you still need to do that, I think.
Yeah,
But-
right, and I think it's just more to validate the people that are taking the time to do all these things, looking for numbers, making sense of them, making the phone calls, their due diligence. You know, I think it just validates them better that you guys listen to how they actually vote and then do it.
So I don't see anything, I don't object to that. I don't think it needs a charter change, so.
And then, I'm telling you over your recommendations.
I think the entire document from start to finish needs to be reviewed. It's 20 years old. It's the people's document. It doesn't do any harm to go through it. With life is different in 20 years from when it was written to when it's written now. There are different people that live in the community. I just think a charter commission should be formed of a variety of citizens, and it should be looked at from start to finish and voted on as the people's document.
Is anything else?
Well, then I was also considering the thought about a town meeting. I mean, do many people actually go? I mean, it's mostly employees. There's not a lot of town input. I know a lot of people put in the way for the town meeting, so I don't know. I don't know what you guys are thinking about that. I mean,
Didn't have to argue about that too, surprisingly. The town meeting is the one last place where if the council and or the budget advisory committee or the police chief or the town manager has done something wrong, that they get to go and vote on the outcome. If you were to take that away, instead of getting 20 or 40 or 50 people there to critique the budget and the council's action, you'd get nobody, because there wouldn't be a meeting. And I have always thought that if there wasn't much turnout at town meeting, then people were reasonably happy and decided to stay home and watch the Red Sox. If there's a big crowd there, if we got there at the town meeting and there were 200 people there, we would know that we had done something that was not liked by the population. And I would never vote to take that away from the people. I think they need, that's their last best hope. Because the further away you get from the voter, whether it's the council or the state legislature or Washington DC, the further away you get, the less voice you have. And I think it's important to continue to have a town meeting. I agree.
Yeah, and that's understandable, because I feel like the people that complain the most are the ones that don't participate. So,
Okay, I got a couple more things. I just wanted to make you aware that one of the police vehicles was hit, it was parked, and it was hit by a landscape truck. Did about $6,000 damage, sitting right out here. It's still drivable, but there's a big, like, the metal is actually cut. From the driver's side wheel. $6,000 estimate we got, we're collecting another estimate, I put it through MMA with the landscapers insurance, so. But it was one we're hoping to trade. In July, but we're gonna get it fixed and then go from there. Then we also had one of our newer cruisers, started smoking the other morning, it was billowing smoke coming out of it, they had to call the fire department. Ended up being just a coolant line, so that's gonna be fixed and back on the road soon. The fire chief vehicles, his command vehicle won't pass inspection. Rocker panels are bad, there's bushings, axle seal, transfer case is leaking, needs some tires. So it runs out May 30th. I said, well, hopefully, meeting passes and we'll get you a new vehicle for July 1. So we're not going to fix, it's drivable for now. He doesn't go far with it, so I said, just let's hold off on fixing it and see what happens. And then the 2 electric vehicles are going back, I think tomorrow. So. Yes,
What are we expecting to get for that cruiser that's been stove up after we fix it or trade in?
It's not that cheap, maybe 9,000 or 10,000.
I couldn't hear you, Rick.
9 or 10,000.
Oh, okay. I was
It's in
gonna
good
say, if we're
shape.
gonna get less than 6,000, we're better off to keep our insurance money and let it go.
No,
I guess if we're gonna get 9 or 10, it's.
So I believe I can speak on this because we're not voting on anything, but my recommendation on the fire vehicle would be to mothball it for now, because if it doesn't pass inspection, there's a safety issue for operating in an emergency mode. Give the chief whatever the stipend is for using the old vehicle, like you get or whoever gets it. And then if it passes, then we don't need to worry about it. If it passes the vote, then we just, if it doesn't pass the vote, then we fix the
then
vehicle.
we fix it, yeah.
I wouldn't be
If it
right,
does
I wouldn't,
pass, we can order it, have it delivered for July 1, so it's here.
right, so it would be a couple months that, well, April's pretty much over, it'd be May, June, and July. You would have to give them the stipend for thing, but I don't think the vehicle should be on the road. If it doesn't pass inspection now, shouldn't be on the road. That's my view.
Is it?
And tomorrow, on the meetings, upcoming meetings, we do have a transfer station meeting tomorrow at 4:30 that I forgot to put on. All I have.
Mr. Jordan, do you have anything?
Sir,
Mr. Bowman?
All set.
Mr. Nutting?
I'm good.
Was we gonna make a motion about that cruiser or
do you want that in a motion?
Probably,
probably we're not
it's
gonna
up
do
on the
anything to it?
record,
Okay,
because we're gonna pay him a stipend, which you can abstain from.
it's not, I'm not getting paid for that. If somebody else wants to make the motion, then go
I'll
ahead.
make a motion that we pull the fire chief's vehicle off the road immediately. Or unsafe and figure out a stipend that would be fair to the chief, and you can handle that as a town manager. That's my motion.
Second,
Motion's been made, seconded, all in favor?
Thank you.
I didn't have,
Same.
I abstain. Thank you. I didn't have anything.
Okay. Only thing I had, and I talked to Chief about it just 2 seconds ago. I wonder if we shouldn't buy some signs, Chief, because where you guys are so limited on people and availability. Going across the bridge at the bottom of Libby Hill, there's a guy fishing there today, standing on 6 inches of pavement fishing. As, you know, you got 9, 10 buses going up the hill. And if this guy slips or falls, he's gonna get run
And
over.
sometimes there are kids there with them.
Yeah,
It's very
it's scary.
dangerous.
You know, and I just think we ought to have a sign on each end. No fishing on this side. Now, the other side, there's a walkway.
And there's
You know?
there's one down.
Go up near the fishway, or the dam, you know, go there, but someone's gonna slip off that and fall, and I know the chief they can't be everywhere, and at 2:30 in the afternoon, they got their hands full to high school. You know, what I'm just saying, I wonder if we shouldn't look into getting signage and putting it on both ends and saying, no fishing, period. You know?
Side of the road.
Yeah, or whatever, you know, whatever the law says. I think it's a state road too, so we might have to check that.
I can email Dave
You
Allen.
know, just, that's all I have. Okay,
Can I actually go backwards?
yes.
I'm not sure what our blight rule is, or if we had an ordinance on blight. But if you look behind 26 Oak Street, which is the apartment building just before you go up into the trailer park, that's become a dump back there. I don't know, I mean, it's right in the public eye. When you going one way, you see it, going the other way, you don't, but it's piling up.
I'll send Nate over.
Yeah, I don't know if it's public trash, I mean, like household trash that's gonna be collecting rats and whatnot, or if it's just where they're dumping all their stuff they don't want.
26 Oak Street.
Yeah, it's right beside the apartment building beside Fabian going towards the corner store. I believe it's 26. The one I used to own.
So it's like in front of Howard.
Well, it would be on the backside of the playground, right by the fence area. It's right by the stream. So.
Motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh, I had one question if we just could. I just wanted to clarify where we're going next with the town charter discussion.
I'm gonna redo these, and
Are we going to be requesting a town charter commission for people to be elected to a town charter commission to review the town charter?
I won't vote for a new charter commission. The charter is similar to a constitution, and you only make changes to it when you absolutely have to. And it's hard to make changes, it's time consuming, really time consuming for a charter commission. And that's intentional, because you don't want to be tinkering with the charter every few minutes. The same as you wouldn't with a constitution. So I won't vote for a charter commission. I'm okay with the 2 or 3
amendments.
amendments. That's my position.
And that's basically what that information you gave us says, that if we've got a revision, we've got to have a charter commission, but for minor amendments, you don't have to, apparently.
Mr. Moore, may I have a question?
Yeah, so we can have 3 amendments, correct? No more than 3 without, or is it unlimited?
You can have as many as you want, but each one has to only deal with one.
All by yourself.
Like the one that deals with the filing of the papers is different than the one dealing with the changes to the $25,000. So you can't combine those 2. Well, those are the only,
Well, there are 5 listed here.
yeah, but we didn't,
Right, we're not doing, section 602. Or 603.
we're not doing foreclosures. We are gonna do the one, the 60-day.
100 days.
To 60 and 100 instead of 50 and 90. And we are going to do the one that's going from $10,000 to $25,000. And that was it. Yes. So that's
Cause the other ones
1,
say.
2.
So just 204 and 303.
Yep.
Yep.
The only change.
So I'll
With
redo
the
these.
check on 408.
Yeah,
Yes, thank
and
you.
refer back to 408.
4.8.
Yeah,
4.8.
4.8, yeah. So,
That can be the same amendment as 303 because that's dealing with the same, yes.
so I will rewrite these and have them for the next meeting. Vote on the amendment.
Then you have to have a public hearing. And I would suggest you not have that till after the June primary.
Yeah.
And then it will have to be voted on at the town election in November. If you were to have the public hearing before the primary, or if it was a month before the primary, then you'd have to do that voting at the June primary. It would be better to vote, I think, in November when you have a big crowd.
I understood that if it was an amendment, we didn't have to do all that. The council can decide.
You read,
I do a lot of reading.
Hence why a charter commission would be helpful.
if you read 30A, Title 30A, you'll see that you do have a public hearing.
I think, Kelly, remember the part about the charter amendments may be initiated by the order other than this law.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Good night, folks, and thank you.